Good morning, Nancy Jean.
Morning, Danny.
How are you?
Oh, I'm happy. It's Jupiter is finally into Pisces day. Whoop whoop.
Ooh, yay, yay,
So,
yay, yay.
for those who've been restless and sleepless and whatever, it was the punch that's coming. It's a punch that's coming to you. I go to sleep now. COVID allowed me a vacation on this change. I sleep all the time anyway.
Lucky you. Yeah.
No, I'm much better. Today I woke up and I said, oh my God, I think I can get out of bed. So tomorrow I get tested. I'll be at the point where it should show negative, and then I'll be yay. And the symptoms are waning, but it's a ride. It's a ride, but I got a very peaceful ride comparison to what other people I know.
Right. So now you have all three shots.
All three shots.
Correct. Yeah.
And I'm on keto. So, and COVID loves glucose, and I don't have much of that in my system.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, a lot of diseases love glucose.
Yeah. That's
so, you know, when you cut that out, when you start doing low carb or keto, then, you know, you're eliminating a lot of the foods that so many of our ailments feed on. But that's for your show on keto. But so how bad was it? You were down for like 2 or 3 days, just really
I
down.
got exposed on the night of the 18th, and by the 20th I was feeling weak. I had 3 days of an incredibly sore throat, and you talked to me. I talk like Froggy.
Oh yeah, right.
And it was on a Wednesday that I went, and I finally broke down and went to see my friend Andre, who runs the lab where he does all the major corporations in Texas, and he fit me in. And 4 hours later, I knew I had it. And he just said, you stay home until you get 2 negatives. So tomorrow will be my first negative. And then I wait 2 days and do a second negative just to make sure that everything's being read the way it's supposed to be read. Right. And then I can go out and be with people and not feel like I'm infecting them. We have no idea of reinfection rates after you've had it. Right. Although the blood work, according to Andre, shows if you've had your shots, your booster, and then you get the disease, or you get the disease somewhere in that mix, that that raises your immunity up to above 95%.
And you know, a lot of the general population doesn't get that information.
No.
So, which is a shame. We should, if the technology's there, then I think we should be able to get it. But let's just shut everything down. No, I'm kidding.
I'm all for shutting it. I mean, if I've got to stay home alone, y'all can stay home alone too.
Yeah, I agree.
But I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping my daughter's going with me to be tested too, and we're hoping she's had some signs of it, and she's pretty sure she's gotten it. But she can't go back on the university campus till she proves negative after being exposed to a positive person. Right. So she's going to go get her tests, and tech support's coming along just because he can.
Sure.
And
so, because I thought that I had it, and it wasn't bad. It felt like it was a 3-day cold. You know, I was going, I really feel crappy for like 3 days. Normally during a cold, I feel crappy for like 7 days. I mean, it's like, oh hell. But this was, you know, it was the weirdest thing. But well,
my big clue was I haven't had a sore throat since I had mono, which was in 1969, guys, before most of you were born. And I had a really, really bad case of mono. And I completely lost my voice. And I mean, I lived in the healthcare center at school for an entire semester because my parents were out of the country and they had no place to send me. So I had to live in the health center. It took 9 hours. I mean, I barely dragged my ass around that campus. It was sad. But that took me forever to get over. And when I woke up and I had that sore throat and I had that kind of, there is that brain fog thing they talk about, fuzzy brain. So
yeah,
all that's gone. So now we're going to have a clear as day reading because we're reading about 2022.
oh my gosh, yes, clear as day, because I haven't slept in like 3. But before that, but this goes into my next thing that we wanted to talk about.
Okay.
You must have done something specifically bad in your past life so that you got this sick and that you had mono before. So what I'm talking about is karma. And I was this last week, yesterday, I was talking to this friend of mine who put karma into an individual packet. I must have done this wrong, and now I'm paying for it and clearing it today. And I thought, I'm not sure if I'm hearing him right or not, but I don't think karma is specific. Like I'm going to fix this bad issue, this past issue. And so I wanted to get your take on karmic, what karmic, payback.
Think about karma as the Ace of Swords. It's got 2 sides to the blade. It can cut and make things better, hone things down, poke, bring in the light, bring in truth, or it can slash everything to ribbons. Okay. But it depends on the hand that's wielding it. So it's what do you do with your karma? And one of the things that most enlightened me to karma, because I pretty much gotten that idea that, if you didn't fix your karma, you were going to keep degenerating each time you were born on the earth until you ended up being the beetle that nobody wants in the kitchen. But
I like beetles.
Well, I like the ones that sing. But what I read a woman, I did a past life on a woman, and she had this glorious past life. I mean, the cards, if they could have glowed gold light off the table, they would have. And she had this glorious life now. She's big in Dallas. She's big in helping people figure out how to make different things work and how to work with troubling situations and solving problems. And, that's what she'd done in the past life. She'd helped people in World War II survive, and maybe it was World War I. But anyway, she had all this wonderful, glorious past life, and she had a wonderful, glorious this life. And the message I clearly got was she knew how to do it. So she'd come back to show us how. And she could have said, oh shit, I already did that in a past life. I want to go do something fun and new, She didn't. She picked up the mantle and went forward. I think people can use, if you have something that might have been a negative karma, like say you were an SS officer in World War II, not good karma. You could hang your whole life on, I have to make up for doing that, or I'm marked by that. So all sorts of horrible things are going to come to me. Well, if you've ever watched Joe Dispenza, the first thing that ought to pop into your head when you say that is whatever I project out is what I get back.
Yep.
So I think karma is a matter of, and people you've met in past lives. One of my best friends, she had a past life regression. And the only person left with her at the end of her life, when she was 21, she gave birth to a baby who was stillborn, and then she died hemorrhaging in one of those big Georgian mansions in England. And the only person that was left with her at the end was her friend. Her friend was really her maid, how they became your best friends. And
right.
the therapist said, this person in this life, what's her name? And she said, it's Nancy. Well, she and I ended up locked in a hospital room trying to preserve 2 high-risk babies in our 40s in the same hospital, in the same room.
Wow.
And we nurtured each other through that. She has a beautiful daughter who's very, very well accomplished, and I have tech support. So, it can work point for point, but it also can be, I learned from the past and I'm not going to do that again to myself or to anyone else.
Right. And I think that the point to point issue is it's so narrowly focused that we will get lost in trying to fix something that is a little point. in our lives. Our lives are bigger than one thing that we do or that we didn't do.
Oh, yeah.
And we get to move on from that. But sometimes we just get so focused on just one point. And that we need to take the whole life in our whole experience, just let that go, move on from it, make sure we don't do it again. Because sometimes we keep repeating that same mistake over and over.
That goes to the chronic problem of forgiveness. Are we going to forgive ourselves for what we may have done wrong in the far past and move on? Or are we going to continue to dwell in it because we don't know that to forgive is to give ourselves the present?
Right. And we keep bringing that in as we dwell on it and not forgiving and not letting that go. And this is that time of year where we let things go, right?
Right.
This is astrological times.
Right. This is the time of year when light comes in, and it comes in slowly. It's like less than a second more light, and then in the middle of spring, it's like 10 or 15 seconds more worth of light every day. I mean, it's not like, and all of a sudden, it's not like everything's actually equal, and you just have to kind of look at it. But this is when we're given the dark part of our soul to look at so that we can let in the light. And, I'm all for letting in light.
And it's a slow thing because we are all wanting things to move a lot faster. It seems like, at least on my channel, people are going, when is things going to happen? When are we getting there? I know I'm feeling frustrated with the events, the current events. When are things going to change? And I think that that's coming up real soon with the next couple of months, 6 months. However, it's not a light switch. It's a drip. It's a slow opening. And I think that needs to, I need to focus more on just how it presents itself. It never is a light switch unless you walk into a room and you have to turn on the light, then it's a light switch. But what I mean.
I think we can have enlightenment that can come to us quickly. I think you can be sitting there one day, but that's just one day out of all the other days this year,
right,
or any other year. And I think right now, the fact that so much of what has been, what we believed was going to happen, the proven past, what we tied ourselves to, and now we're being freed from that. But also, I'm old enough to have seen how long things take. And I know it was 18 months from the time that they kicked Nixon's ass out of the White House until they did the indictments on the guys that they got. It's not, and you don't want a sloppily built quick case if that's what your obsession is. You just have to let things, time is very, very fluid right now. Time is what's confusing us.
Yeah. And I think too, with that whole light switch thing, there's a lot to be built up before you flip that light switch, unless you run into, I would imagine, a near-death experience where you get hit over the head, in another world. I don't know. I've never had that experience, so I don't know. Well, in this life that I can remember. So kind of close though. I did get hit in the head with an axe. Does that count as?
That's not good parenting. Did you discuss this with your parents? This is not good parenting.
No, I didn't, because they'd turn around and go, "Shut up, or I'll hit you again."
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, no.
Yeah, you grew up in the 50s, didn't you?
Well, I get late 50s, early 60s. I was born in 54.
Okay, yeah. See, you're a baby. No, really the things we did to each other as kids, you would think we all absorbed that polio experience and you could die tomorrow, and we all treated each other like, well, I can take you out right now. I mean,
I shot my brother in the back with an arrow. Is that wrong?
Yeah, that's some karma you may have to make up for in the next lifetime.
but You think? But here's the deal with that. I was so weak that the arrow came out and hit him in the back and just fell out.
Well, God blessed you with weakness instead of strength.
I still caught hell for it though. From my brother and then from my dad. So yeah. All right. Let's move on. Let's do some garden work for the energies. And what we're going to do today, we're going to look at Nancy Jean's, she's got her garden there, is going to do a spread on the energies right now for the year. Is that right, Nancy?
Heading into 2022, yes.
Okay. And then we are going to look briefly 3 months of energy for the world. And we're breaking this up into the Olympic rings in the countries that represent those Olympic rings. So we will do a little world energy spread and kind of make it a little more specific. But Nancy's going to start off with
the garden. And in the garden, if you've not seen it before, in the middle are the basic elements: fire, water, air, and earth. And then in the outer rings it starts with the root chakra and goes all the way around to crown. And then I put in the tree of life just because it made it balanced. And then there's words in here. And I'm going to throw in, normally I only use 5 stones, but since we're doing a whole year thing, I'm using a 6th stone. And this is the one that's called the crux stone. It says, how do we need to view the rest of the stones that we throw? Okay. So what we've got here is earth. And this, for those of you who don't know what it is, that's a fluorite. And that's how it comes out of the ground. It comes out that little octahedron shape. And it was right there. So, and what this means that the energy we're going to be looking at is earth energy. And earth energy is what's approaching us. So this is good for a new year coming in. This is what's approaching us. Then I have, and Danny, are you going to pull one universal one, or you want to pull with the 5?
No, I will pull a universal, and I'm using the 7 Energies Oracle. And so I'm just going to pull a complementary card, which is deep breath. So we have earth energy taking a deep breath. And it's, sometimes earth energy, moves a little slow. So just inhale and exhale, just keep breathing.
Right. This is what's approaching and emerging into our lives. So what I pulled out of my sack is the Mind Stone, and this represents the mind, and it's an orange yellow calcite. Oh, okay. Our minds are being focused in the past and break from previous patterns and learn from your experiences. So this is a year that's going to be a breakaway year. What's going to approach us, we're going to have to let go of what we always thought how everything was going to be before. We need to let that go. So what did you see for your mind?
So that's interesting. I got birds of a feather. So when we are all like connected and like hanging together and feeding on each other's energy, right? Then we're taking the group think to a different level, but we're losing our individuality a little bit. So what this is saying to me with your card, with your stone, is make sure that we retain our own individuality, and as we move forward, and that we're just not part of the herd.
That's right. Right. Okay. So the next stone that I pulled out of my magic little baggie is clarity, and it's sodalite. And clarity's in the root chakra. And in the root chakra, it means tying to cosmic wisdom is needed for the base. So what it's saying is we need to go deal with cosmic wisdom right now to create this new base that our mind is trying to help us break away from the past and move towards. What'd you get?
This doesn't really match up, I don't think. Quieting the mind.
Not at all. I mean, that's the only way we can hear the cosmos, because when we chatter all day, we don't. And as readers, we know how to chatter all day, don't we?
All day. Yeah.
Okay, the next stone's the biggest one in my group, and it's fusite, which is called the fairy stone. It's a real pretty in real life. It's very shiny and there's little sparkles in it. And what this means is how the vessel that we live in is responding to moving forward this way. I guess we're not moving forward, Danny. It just fell off the board. I'll be right back. I rarely do that, so this is kind of a spectacular thing. Don't laugh at me.
Oh, sorry. Dang, now I'm gonna have bad karma coming at me. So I was laughing at Nancy Jean.
Or maybe all of our bodies are going to fall off the board. Maybe it means the body's not all that important in this reading, but we're going to try again. Okay. The body fell between earth and water. Physical changes are coming, and it's helped by working with grounding elements. So putting them all together, we're coming into a time of real change. We're having to let go of the past. We're needing to check up with karmic wisdom. And physical changes are coming. So you're going to feel this in your body. You're going to feel this in your world. It's not going to be something it's not going to be an intellectual exercise. This is actually physical changes are coming to you. So move.
Yeah. Okay.
What'd you
And
get?
when these physical changes come to us, we need to have a tender embrace with ourselves.
Right.
It's just change. A lot of times we fight the physical changes. Oh my gosh, I got another wrinkle. Oh my gosh, my hair turned blonde, for example. I mean, I've never really liked blonde hair, but look at all the blonde hair I have. So just embrace what the changes are. You don't need to fight it. You don't need to do anything. I mean, there is change that's going to happen. Just don't fight it. Embrace it. There we go.
Okay. So the next one we're getting is our grounding, or it's pyrite, which is values, and it's in earth. And much more is going to be brought forward in this year. Much more of these changes and things we're beginning to see. Much more connection to karmic wisdom. Much more of letting go of the old past and creating the new reality. So what did you get?
And what that is going to bring is great and full.
Right.
And it's interesting because you pulled a color card before we started here. And that looks like it is burgundy wine that's jumping out of there. So this whole movement that we're going through, this whole energetic shift is going to be so good for us, even though we may be struggling with it in the middle of it. Just know that it's going to be really good.
Right. And then the last stone I'm going to throw is spirit. And how is our spirit going to tie all this together? Oh, great. Spirit's in the future in the crown. And that's great, because in the future, it says, be patient. The transmutation has not completely happened. But the crown chakra says spirit harmonizes all of your efforts. So what I see is what mostly I see in this, because we're having things unearthed and we're having to kind of look at it and watch it grow, because things grow in the garden. We're going to need to be grounded and deal with it carefully. We need to open ourselves up to cosmic wisdom. We need to let go of what was old. We need to have our body embrace these changes that are coming. They're not here yet. So I think 2022 is going to be a whole year of growth it's going to be a year of growth through that year, because at the end of it all is that wonderful crown chakra. Spirit harmonizes all of our efforts. So I think this looks like we're going to see some ups and downs. I think the biggest chunk for us is going to be let go.
Yeah.
What's your last card?
So my last card is the Merry Motive. And when I pulled this, it's the information that I got was that this is not happening to us. This is what we are creating. Right. So make sure that we keep putting out what we want to see in the world, what we want to see in our lives. And the motive of this change, what's the motive of this change? What do we want to see in it? And that's what this card is letting me know, that we need to bring that to us. And to recap what I got with this is, during this change, it's important to breathe. It's important to have your individuality as we are in a group still. Quiet the mind, take some time to think about and to project where we want to go. Make sure you hug yourself, and with all these changes that may be a little uncomfortable because it's just new, and know that we have great things coming, and the great things that are coming are through what you think about, what we think about, to bring to
and
life.
To understand that you're not going to wake up one day and everything's going to be sparkly and change. There's days you move forward and days you don't. But what Danny was talking about, the color card I pulled for us today is burgundy. And burgundy means awakening your passion. Burgundy connects you to your passion, vibrancy, and enthusiasm for life. It leads you and your life to your life purpose and makes your dreams a reality. Burgundy also energizes you whenever you're feeling down by showing you your real path in case you're feeling lost. And it says, when you're passionate about something, your intuition, your heart, and your soul all awakens to move forward. And I pulled that card from this deck. It's called The Secret Language of Color, which does not ever show up well in cameras. But next time you design a deck, honey, put it in front of a camera, because that's the only way people are going to see it. But it's really good. And before we go on to strictly cards, for those of you who know, I have stones in my garden. I have stones all around me. I build crystal grids. I do all kinds of stuff. I pulled a card.
You build crystal grids?
Yes, Danny. Like the one behind you.
That one?
Yeah, like that one. Wow. And today, the stone I pulled is Numite. And Numite is the healer. And Numite is a really interesting stone. It's black with little gold and brown flecks in it. And it comes from, like, they found it in Greenland originally, and then they found it in Newfoundland, and it's in the Alaskan wilderness is where they find gold. That's where they find this stone. It's a very, very powerful stone. And it's the stone of the warrior, the shaman, supports a journey into our shadow selves, creating a sacred space for us to obtain the deep wisdom and strength and courage. So I think it's a perfect stone for today, because what we're going in is to a new place that's taking us to see shadows of ourselves.
Right.
And it's to heal. And we all can heal, but we have to believe we can heal.
And is that stone, because one of the questions I was going to ask you, because you are the crystal lady, what would be a good stone? Because that seems like that's a really good stone, not just for today's reading, but for the next 3 to 6 months. Is there so I was going to ask you, is there a good grounding stone for us in this next 6 months?
Yes, there's a couple of them, and they're all black or dark. But this one It's called rainbow obsidian, and you can kind of see the rainbows in it. But if you take this stone out, yes, you got some when you're up at Shasta. If you take this stone out into the sunlight, it looks like a rainbow's in there. I mean, it's just glowy, real color. That's one of my grounding stones.
Okay.
This is labradorite. It's another one that's relatively easy to get. Newmite can be easy to find. I wouldn't pay a fortune for it. If you have a choice between wanting a couple stones to have in two places, tourmaline, and you want black tourmaline for grounding. Tourmaline can be every color under the sun, but I have a long shaft. It grows in volcanic shafts, and it grows it looks like a little column. I have one that's my guardian stone by my front door, and it just keeps bad things from coming through the door.
Good.
So those are really interesting stones in case you start feeling like I can't hang on this earth anymore. If you start working with grounding stones, you can pull your energy in, because we are creatures of this earth. You know, despite what other bloodlines people may tell us we have from the past, we are creatures of this earth, and we need to connect to this earth. And one of the best healing things people can do now in this rapid change is to go out in nature, and as close as you can, go hug a tree. Hugging a tree is not a false thing. They will actually sing to you. So,
right. Well, and I truly believe that all of nature is alive, even the rocks, even and you can talk to them if you quiet your mind. If as in my shamanic practices, we quiet our minds so that we can listen to it, and we just take a little journey. We let our imaginations talk to us through rocks, trees, leaves, feathers. Medium Kim and I are doing that class where that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be talking to elements and physical feathers and rocks and things. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Let's get into the energy for the different parts of the world.
Okay, great.
Because we have a lot of people from all over the world, hopefully watching, and so much of us, my readings and others are focused on US. So we're going to take it, we're going to use the Olympic rings and use those countries that represent the different colors of the Olympic rings. And we're just going to break it down into 3-month energy for those rings.
Right, for each area. Yeah.
For each area.
Okay.
And let's start off with the Americas, because that's where Nancy and I are. The Americas include North and South America, US, Brazil, Argentina, Canada are some of the most populous countries. There are a ton of countries in this area, over 1 billion people. So pretty good. So let's just, so I'm just going to pull some energy cards and maybe some clarification cards. And I'm not sure what Nancy is going to do with this.
I'm going to pull some tarot.
Okay. The Americas, 3 months on the Americas, North and South. Mexico.
Yeah, in December and January, since we're almost into January, that's the only time of the year I do 12-month readings for people. Because it's easier for me to keep track of which month is where, quite honestly. Yeah. But it's a good time to do that kind of reflection. And this is how I lay that out. I put out a Archangel Power Tarot with a Hanson Roberts clarifier on it. So Do you want me to go or you want to go?
Go ahead.
Okay. So for the beginning of the 3 months, we're going to get what we really, really want. And because this is the 9 of Cups. And you look, he's soliciting and he's make a wish, dreams can come true, a joyful time in your life. And then the reason is because we're letting go of the disillusionment. We're letting go of the false promises, the 7 of Cups reversed. So in the US, I think a lot of stuff's going to come to light. People are going to get to see the real truth, whether they like it or not. And whether they accept it or not isn't the deal. The deal is the truth is there. And that's all the best you can do.
Right.
February is people are going to be building a much stronger base for themselves to live in. And this is a time for celebration, abundant rewards, hard work. But this is going to be a real split decision because there's going to be those who are going to be grieving because what they believed in will be lost or what they thought was true will be lost. And if they thought all of a sudden one day I'm going to wake up and my life's going to be back to where it was in February of 2020, you're going to be living like this, kids, until you let that go because we are never going to go back to that. Too many people have changed and too many.
That was the 9 of Swords, right?
Right. It's 9 of Swords.
Yeah, that's what I was doing for the last 4 nights. Why? Anyway,
because
go ahead.
And then the 3rd month is going to be great. We're going to get offered a lot of promises, a lot of things going to ride forth. This is the Knight of Cups. But you got to remember about this guy is he's slick. This is the guy when you look back in your college years or your high school years that you dated that you shouldn't have. Anyway, or the girl or whomever. Anyway, committed romantic relationship, being swept off your feet. The biggest part of this card is being swept off your feet and riding through foam. I mean, who rides around on the edge of the sea in foam, right? And it's just makes your heart feel all aflutter. But at the same time, I think what's going to save us is we're going to think and we're going to have a fight between our head and our heart. Our heart's going to be saying, go here, go here. It's all aflutter. And our head's going to be going, that looks a little too slick.
Yeah.
So what I see is us waking up and feeling this great release. I think February is going to be a hard month for some people, an easy month for others. For the whole of the 2 continents, there's also a lot of elections in the they're really setting up in South America. And there's a lot of people rising up against the authoritarians that are down there. Mm-hmm. So even though I don't ever really talk politics, I used to work in it, so I understand it, so I follow it. And I think that February is going to be an interesting month on both sides of the equator. Yeah. And then March is going to be a time when things are going to seem to be, it's going to be like riding off. But I think so many of us have been burnt in the last 2 years. It's going to take us a while to accept that things are really getting better. So what did you see?
So I pulled, I'm using my Shaman's Dream Oracle. Mm-hmm. And for January, I got Watchers, Transpersonal. Mm-hmm. So this is the transpersonal thing, it's just not about us. It's just not about the US. It's interesting because that is us. Mm-hmm. It's just not about that. It's about South America. It's about Argentina. It's about Brazil, Canada, Alaska. So we get focused on our own little world, but there is something bigger, and mm-hmm. we just are going to be watching it unfold in January. In February, I got Woodwives, Adaptability. And this goes along right with what you were saying, Nancy, about how we may not be, it may not unfold as exactly as the way we want it. We're going to have to be adaptable a little bit mm-hmm. in how this works. But by the 3rd month, I got Dragon's Horde, Protecting the Future. And in this, when I see that we get there in the 3rd month, it's that we've seen things unfold. It's not exactly the way that we may want it, one side or the other. We're going to have to adapt to that. But what we've created in the first 2 months is something that is going to protect our future. And when I said that, I heard that's also including protecting the planet that we live on. That's so important. It's not all about being in the sky. It's living here on this earth.
Right. It's getting grounded. Okay.
Yeah.
Where are we going next in the world? Where in the world?
Well, we're just going to stay with the A rings.
Okay.
And one of the things that did strike me is that most of the rings are A continents. So we're going to Africa.
Okay.
1.2 billion people. Nigeria, Ethiopia, and Egypt. From what I looked on the internet, this may be wrong, but they are the most populous parts. And I was a little surprised at that, because I didn't think Nigeria would be there. But again, I don't know Africa that well. I don't know it at all. I would love to go, but 1.2 billion people.
Nigeria has a very diverse biosphere. It's got really diverse plains and rivers and mountains and all that good stuff. Okay, so what I see for Africa in January is they're struggling. They're really in a balancing act. Look at that guy. Getting. That's the Two of Swords. No, it's two coins. That's the Two of Coins, and he's balancing everything. And it's important to have balance. Working multiple jobs, figuring out how to make all that fun. But then they've got some good stuff coming towards them. They got the Wheel of Fortune, so I think that that's going to make all that balancing and hanging on the edge of the cliff that they've been doing worth it for the continent. February for them, it's a time for them to plant their crops and to get their act together. So the hard work, now you're going to see, well, what can I invest in? And you've invested wisely. Have patience while you wait for the harvest and begin to make plans for you and new endeavors. So this has all got to do about money for them, but they're going to come together with the right people and sign the right contracts and start to clean up some of what stopped those countries from growing the way they should with the mineral abundance that they have, if nothing else.
Yes. Yes.
And March, their March is solutions. They're going to find solutions, and it's Archangel Zadkiel. He's the one that helps us remember and forget. That's his job. And success comes from the objective compromise, self-control, and patience, forgiving and healing energy. And what's going to happen is Africa is going to start to look at some of the injustices that are going on in those countries and try to make them right. They're not going to make them right overnight, but they're going to begin to work on that.
Yeah, no light switches. So what I got similar cards. I got Vanishing Mirror for January, Ego Sublimation, and in February I got the Jeweled Web, Interconnectivity. When I first pulled this card, this Vanishing Mirror, you just thought about the vanishing continent of Africa with the this is what I thought, the deforestation, the just the mining that's going on there. And this is that jeweled web. There's so many natural resources that Africa has that they need to protect. Otherwise, it's going to go away. And
Right.
people are coming in, and nations are coming in and taking their riches, their jewels, and that needs to be protected a little bit. And I think they get it in the third month, that they go, no, we do have this abundance, we do have this overflow, and it's a little overwhelming, but there's so much of it. But I'm getting that they are paying attention to what they do have. I don't know what the 4th, 5th, and 6th month is, but they certainly are understanding what they have. And I hope they are paying attention to the vanishing mirror that could completely disappear if they don't watch out.
Right.
Yeah.
I think.
All right.
Okay.
The next one is, and this was interesting. This is when I said the 8 countries, when I pulled up the rings to write these down, Australia came up, but really it's Oceania that is the ring of the country. And that's part of Australia, Micronesia, New Zealand, Fiji, Solomon Islands, Papua New Guinea, all that. And that's got 41 million people. So we went from 1 billion to 1.2 billion. We are down to 41 million. So not huge, but still hugely important.
Yes.
So the size doesn't matter here as far as billions. I keep saying that, you know.
My oldest son he moved to Guam at 16 with his dad and lived there till he was almost 30, and still has strong connections to Guam. And he loved it. He didn't want to leave, but he survived. I think in the 12 years he lived there, he survived 13 typhoons, and the last one blew everything he owned away. So he said, maybe it's time to come home. Okay.
Wow.
Oh, they're in a lot of stress too. January for them is the 9 of Swords. The 9 of Swords, they're really, of course, they're feeling it because a lot of the vigor and growth in some of those places is based on tourism, and tourists aren't coming.
Right. And I didn't mean to laugh that they're struggling. It's just that I got the same cards.
That was Danny last night, sitting up looking at the fireflies in his bedroom.
Yeah. Really?
But the real lesson in this is your worry is unnecessary. Focus your thoughts on the outcome you desire. Release the feelings of regret, guilt, and worry. Let the angels have it. And they're just not going to be feeling very strong. And that's somewhat's happening to Australia anyway, because they keep getting rounds of the universal crud rather.
Yeah.
But then they also in February get the false night, but they get her with the Queen of Cups. And I think what I see from that is some change in some health and a real turnaround in that whole situation is going to happen across the region.
Yeah.
And that will help them enormously. And then, they're going to be, by March, they're going to be moving. That's the Queen of Gabriel. And you can do anything right now. Go after what you want. The ability to attract the people you need in order to get where you want to go. And the card that helps it is quit being in retreat, move forward. That's the 4 of Swords upside down.
Awesome.
Move now. So that looks really good. We all need to move in with Marianne at Revealing Light.
Yeah, she would love that, wouldn't she?
I don't think so. No.
All right. Yeah, because I think that if we all did that, that would create a dust devil,
right,
for her world. So this is what I was laughing at when you pulled your first month. But what this card is saying now, even though they are in this dust devil,
right,
whirling dervish type of thing, they are moving out of stagnation. Again, we're not talking light switches because they got the empty well moving. Oh, time to replenish. And when I look at this card, it looks like, for me, when I looked at it, I went right off the bat, I go, oh, it's the eye of God looking down on us. But no, it's an empty well. So what do you want to believe in? Oh, it's empty, or no, oh, it's God is going to be, it's time to replenish us. So that's what I look at. And then the final card, I got the joyful muse.
Yeah.
And this is all about moving forward and inspiration. And so this mirrored so much of your cards that you pulled as well.
Yeah,
so,
but you think about that eye in the well, about the Queen of Cups, she's sitting there staring into that cup and seeing deeply into what's going on there. So that's maybe the eye that you were catching. That's her looking in.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, they're both, the well is water. She's looking into the cup. They're perfectly matched cards. So Oceania, hang on there.
You're doing
Things
well.
Are changing.
You're
Things
doing better than you think,
probably. Yeah. All right. So let's go to the most populous area, Asia. This is 4.5 billion people. Yikes.
Yep.
4.5 billion. So Asia, Japan, China, India, parts of Russia, lots more countries. I don't want to minimize them by not saying them, but I don't have time. Asia.
Hey, you got an Asia out here. January, February, March. Let's see. That's Japan too, right?
Yes. And it's hard. It's hard because when you look at those, Asia, some of those countries are so they're so diverse, and their agendas, in my awareness, are they're contradicting each other. So for me, it's kind of a hard read, but let's just see what we get.
Okay, first of all, I get the Eight of Michaels. They're going to be free. Some kind of freedom. I saw this earlier for Asia. Some kind of freedom is coming to Asia. Make courageous choices to change. New things will happen. And the only fly in the ointment is they have judgment reversed, which means there are people who are not willing to look at what's obvious to everyone else, where things need to move, where things need to go. So that can be in the hypercapitalism in Korea or Japan, or it could be in the hypercapitalism, but that isn't really capitalistic, that's going on in China. I mean, there's a whole lot of places where it's going to break. There's a lot of changes. So what did you see for January?
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll do that. I like that too. I got Winter's Dream. And so right now they're working on things. Things are, they're not coming to fruition, but underneath the scenes, things are it says gestation period. So things are building up for them. It's just not to the surface yet. Okay.
So February, let's see what happens to him. Oh, 3 of Gabriel, which is the guy waiting for ships to come in, but in this case, it happens to be a woman. And prosperity arising from wise planning takes time to make the next step, optimistic plans. And what I see is the 5 of Rods reversed, which means a lot of false fighting, a lot of things they've been battling about that really aren't relevant to what they need to do to move forward. That's what's going on here. So that may be the gestation period you're talking about, things taking time to when their way out. What'd you get for February?
Sure. So I got The Stranger and Curiosity. And so it's like in February, it feels like that they're taking a really good look at some of these things, and they're not really comfortable with it, but they're still moving ahead. There's still some movement in it, but it's just a little odd to them, a little foreign in their feeling, but they're going to kind of push through that just to see, you know, what's going to happen.
Okay, so let's see what happens in March. Oh, we got the Five of Rods. They're going to go back to some of their old fighting ways, but the challenge, you can resolve it. Withdraw from the drama of others. Have patience with yourself and those around you. And I see that they have the King of Swords reversed, which means there was someone who wanted to kind of roar through and swing their sword around and cut off everybody's heads, but that's not going to happen. But they are going to go back to some of the best way for them is to not get caught up in everybody else's drama, to take care of their own business.
Right. And the last card that I got was the Fool's Embrace. This is transmuting pain. So when I see this card, what it means for me is that, you know, you're not really looking at how to heal properly. You're just like kind of glossing over it and just giving yourself, yeah, you're okay. It's all right. It's good. You created a lot of pain. You created some bad things, and it's really not sitting in well with you yet. You're just you think you're fixing it, but you're not.
Okay. Yeah, I got it. That's kind of that. Yeah, we got out of that petty fighting and now we're going back into it. Why? Really?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, are we in Europe?
We are in Europe: Germany, Spain, France, Italy, Ireland, Austria, Greece, Russia, and they have, which kind of surprised me. I thought there'd be more people there, but what I pulled out from the internet, which may or may not be true, 746 million people. I guess that's about right. 746 million people. So there is, there's a lot of countries. I didn't mention the Baltics. But Europe.
Okay, let's find
Europe.
Okay. You ready for me to go?
Go ahead.
Okay. January. Oh, a whole lot of wise planning is going to be going on. Europe, by Britain going into Brexit, it really screwed Europe up. And in January, I think a whole lot of people are going to start doing some rethinking about that to reverse that Five of Pentacles, the British being on the outside. I think this is a time for much can be accomplished. Make a very detailed plan, being watched over by someone kind. I have a feeling there's going to be some real shifts in the whole power structure of Europe this year. There will be undoubtedly, because England never changes a monarch that it doesn't send ripples through all of it, no matter what.
Right.
But and
Angela Merkel has stepped down.
Right. There's a lot of changes going on. And in France, you've got a fight between their whack job QAnon, they call them something else over there, but in France, and the moderates who are trying to hold on. And, you know, and everybody's suffering from COVID fatigue. I mean,
yeah,
you know, I agree. People made statements they shouldn't have made about how fast it was going to go away. But anyway, what's going on with you, Guy?
Yeah. So I got Whale Song resonating. And for me, this card, Whales, is just personally, it's all about releasing something that is not resonating. And it was interesting that this card came upside down. So in the reverse position on this, it's like there's things that aren't resonating anymore. And I think it is the Brexit. And I think it is, the COVID fatigue. And there's a lot of changes that's going to be happening. And they're in the beginning stages of it right now.
Okay. So let's see what's going to happen around them in February. Oh, well, I think the changes they go through, I think they're going to make a wise decision on getting out of that one, because this is the 10 of Cups. And this is love and blessings fill your life, harmonious relationships, somebody getting back together and working happily ever after. And on top of it was the Ace of Pentacles. So it's got to do about trade, money, working that out. I think they're going to get that worked out.
Right. What I got is Crown Games, right use of power, which goes exactly with what you were talking about. That in February, things are going to start gelling. They're going to start seeing where things should be, what they should let go of, what they should embrace. And so they're paying attention, and they're going, maybe this is when the monarchy shifts gears a little bit. And, for me personally, I just think that younger energy in making decisions, and I know she isn't the end all, but I just think it's time for, in many instances, a younger energy to be taking the reins.
Right.
If they're smart. If they're dumb, then no.
Well, okay. And then the March is lovely. It's the Two of Raphael, which is Two of Cups, but it says two hearts are dedicated to creating something wonderful. Kindred spirits, don't give up on those whom you love. And people are facing the music. They're facing the judgment. They're facing what they need to know and what they need to do. So I think for Europe, although I think some of it may come from sort of sad things, I think other parts of it are going to come from very good things. And remember, Russia's in Europe too. So if you take that pattern and take it across Russia, it could mean that people have finally had it with Putin in the game.
Right.
Because they just smashed down on them again yesterday by closing down the oldest human rights organization in Russia and arresting the leadership. And that's sort of the last thing they have to go after. And then, so what did you get for your last one?
Yeah. So I got possibility for union, Sky Bridge, and you can see the two pillars there. However, it came in upside down. So yeah. So their possibility that, they have this possibility, but I'm not seeing, I'm seeing some challenges with it because they're still on opposite sides. They haven't decided to walk up the stairs yet. They're still upside down, still divided a little bit. But this middle card is so powerful that I'm hoping it can flip that Sky Bridge around. And when I did a clarifier, I get the Six of Wands. So means that they will flip it around, they will ride in, and they will come together, and people are going to be celebrating. Good. So let's hope that is, I think it's good for Europe.
Yes. Well, that's
months.
Sort of our first 3 months around the world.
First three around the world in, I don't know how many minutes we're
about 60 minutes, not quite.
All right.
We talked about other stuff.
Yeah, around the world in 60 minutes. Cool. Well, Nancy, thank you so much.
Well, thank you for inviting me over.
This has been great. And we will see you probably in the new year, if not on your channel. And I'll put your link down below. So anybody that wants to check out Nancy Jean, her gardens and her grids, there'll be a link down below. And I'm going to send you this as well. So if you want to put it up on your channel too.
I'm over the cruds, so I'm gearing back up. So I have to push a bunch of people that I had to put off for a couple of weeks. But you know, it's going to be interesting and busy. And every day at 9 o'clock Central Standard Time on my channel and on Jeffrey Ripe Color's channel, we do a daily reading. So you can see all this unroll slowly at one day at a time. But my readings are more based on our spiritual and our understanding of ourselves and how to work through the big world.
Yeah, right.
So,
because that's basically what we all need.
Right. It's what we need now for sure.
For sure.
Even more than when I started doing it a year ago. But anyway, everyone have a lovely holiday. I hope your New Year's is sunny and bright. Mine's going to be, it's going to be like in the 70s up until New Year's Eve. And then it's going to plunge to 21.
There you go.
I mean, we're going to see if our beloved governor of the state of Texas actually did fix the power grid. We're going to get one sudden shock to figure it out.
Wow. Yeah. Well, out here in California, we were in drought land. I don't think it stopped raining for about 10 days. So it's raining again, but I don't think it's fixed the drought. But the weather has certainly been interesting this last couple of weeks for sure.
Yes.
Anyway.
Well, that's enough of our gossip about that. And we look forward to everyone have a wonderful new year.
Yes.
Pray to whomever you pray to or speak to whomever you speak to and ask them to give you the best guidance to live your own life.
Perfect. All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.